Great. Okay.
You may,
Thank
by
you.
the way, Sue, someone in there, you may get a little button that pops up on that screen. Just push got it. You'll be all set.
Got it.
Got it.
There you go. Have a good meeting.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So let's call this to order at 6:32. Is that about the time?
I got 6:31.
I have 6:32. Okay, welcome everybody. This is where we should introduce ourselves because we do have some new members, and welcome everybody. I'm Sue DePisa, I'm chair of EDC, and I'll start with you, Grace.
Hi, I'm Grace Gardner. I am new this is my first meeting of EDC. I'm excited to get started.
Susan DeLeader, finished my first year on the EDC, and I work at Rockland Trust, and that's it.
I'm Gina Savage, and I'm also an EDC member. Are we gonna do EDC members and then guests? Or
Sure.
That works?
Yep. Paul? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Paul Barkowitz, EDC member.
Barry?
Hey everyone, I'm Barry Curlin. This is my first EDC meeting. I'm really happy to be here. Sorry that I'm not there in person, but really glad to be able to come in. Thanks for the Zoom access.
Great, thank you. Okay, Linda?
Linda Ferguson from the Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Karen?
Hi, everybody. and Welcome to the new members. Karen Canfield. I am the Select Board Liaison.
Great. Shelley?
Hi, Shelley Swanson, your Greenbush liaison, and I'm co-owner of Birch Barn Designs in Greenbush.
Ed?
Ed Kelly, chairman of the parade committee.
I suggested Ed come to talk to us about the parade.
Great.
So,
Never
plenty
too
of
early.
time, right?
Never too early.
Okay, great. So sorry, Barry, I'm sorry you couldn't make it either. Apparently, got caught in the weather.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Hope you're
So-
okay.
Yeah, I'm like a headline come alive, you guys. I'll be back tomorrow morning.
Okay, as you saw on the agenda, I'd like to begin the year by focusing on the priorities for EDC for the coming year. I've broken it down to 6 categories that are all connected in some way. I've also suggested commission members for the assignments. It'll be up to each of you, and I think I've spoken to each of you individually, on how to design and take the best approach to accomplishing the goals. I'd like to begin the implementation of these goals at the September meeting. So we have a bit of time to sort of mull these things over. I'm happy to meet with anyone who wants to go over anything and answer any questions if I can. So we know EDC's mission is to enhance existing business, attract new business and customers, and encourage redevelopment or new development in order to increase the town's property tax revenues, income, job base, and overall economic health. I think our goals are aligned with the categories. We're improving communication, funding appropriate categories, business owner outreach, engage with the community leaders, continued support to support the Scituate Visitor Center, and engaging with the redevelopment of Pier 44 and Cole Parkway, all fall under our mission, and are aligned with the promotion of economic prosperity in Scituate. So the way that it is broken down right now is that the grant application promotion and tracking will be Gina and Susan DeLeader. Improve communications, business outreach, and collaboration with business associations is Grace and Barry. They're they're last in, so they get the biggest job. The broad outreach for liaisons and foster a pipeline for future EDC positions is me. Community leader forums is me as well. Support promotion and reporting of the Scituate Visitor Center is Susie, who is still in Germany, but will be back for August. the committees for the redevelopment of Pier 44 and Cole Parkway remain with Paul Barkowitz and Susan Daly. If anyone would like to talk about their commitments on these subjects, they're welcome to do it. Susan, you had some great comments about the
Cole Parkway.
no, the other, Cole Parkway, we will definitely talk about, but about the overseeing of the funding.
I did.
You did. When we were chatting a couple
yeah,
weeks ago
yeah.
about how important it is.
Oh, right,
to-
so being a treasurer, me.
Yeah, yeah. Yes,
That's right.
Yeah.
Tracking.
tracking, and that will help us try to figure out who actually needs funds and is
Yes, I'm happy
qualified
to do
for the
that.
funds.
Yes, I'm happy to do that on the grant application stuff once we start going.
Okay, so I also sent, everyone on the commission the almost final on the, application, we're just about there. And Paul is working on the contract, which isn't really, obviously we don't need that tonight, we'll need it the first, approval that we make, so. So Paul, we can talk about that at another time if you want. And Grace, do you want to say anything about our conversation?
Sure, just at a high level, we are going to be building out a plan on how to best engage and kind of do a listening tour of businesses across Scituate.
That's great.
And with the greater goal of just building out better feedback loops with business owners and getting better feedback in terms of their needs and having liaisons with the greater business community so that we can really start listening and to what businesses need now and start thinking about how EDC can play a role in facilitating some of those needs. So Barry and I are going to be working together to build out the plan in August in the hopes that we get started in September.
Great.
That's great.
Okay, before I move on to Karen, I just wanted to make a correction that I mistakenly said last month was Kevin Devon was in charge of the bandstand. That was a mistake. I was corrected, and you did
I did, I'm just trying to see if.
Kevin Kelly.
Kevin Kelly, I
Yeah.
believe.
So I had the Kevin right, but the wrong last name. So,
Yeah, Kevin Kelly.
yeah, and actually Gina did reach out to Kevin Kelly and he gave her an update. Do you want to give that update right now?
So I'm not sure how, the update actually could not have been more timely because right afterward, they started work on the bandstand. So anyone who's been down to the harbor lately will see that they're replacing the entire floor, they've repainted, they've really worked on restructuring the entire bandstand. The reason we had mentioned it at the last meeting was just because it's, a facet of our harbor. We love having the music down there and everything. I'm just seeing if there was anything additional.
Well, they did do.
So we said with the harbor resiliency study coming, there was a bit of a delay on getting construction done. And basically there was the decision that they were gonna just do a facelift on the gazebo as opposed to replacing it in its entirety. And so he was saying they got a structural engineer involved, they put in that new support columns, and then, as I just said, now they've already done the painting, and I think it looks a lot better.
It does look a lot better, I saw it today.
Yeah, so I was really happy to hear that, and he said he's happy to provide any updates as long as we reach out to him. He's happy to give us more information.
Just don't reach out to Kevin Devon.
Yeah, Kevin Devon, who does not have
Everybody
anyone
listens to the meeting.
Yes.
Okay, Karen Canfield, would you like to give us a town update?
I'd be delighted to, Madam Chair. Nice to see you guys. I'm sorry I'm not in person. I'm in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm gonna have to unfortunately jump off from this after this. So fill me in on everything I miss after I hop off.
Yeah, no, it's not a lengthy meeting, I don't think.
Okay, well, stay cool out there.
Mm.
So let's see, I have a number of things that I want to make sure your committee is aware of. The select board met last Thursday, July 13th, for our annual retreat, which is designed, just like you just decided for your committee, is to take a look forward so that as we enter the budget season, which is nigh upon us, we all sort of have a conversation about where to really focus our attention. And one of the things I know near and dear to this committee's heart is the board has directed our town administrator to incorporate in the budget design work that will start the ball, literally start the flowing from North Scituate to our own plant. This is not saying that we're abandoning regional conversation. Those are ongoing. That's all, I can go into that in more depth, but the board felt very strongly that, we've been working for almost 8 years on trying to get all of our ducks in a row for the regional. And if we get it, great, because, we can use the surplus for other areas, but that North Scituate just cannot wait anymore. So we will, that was one of our top priorities for the coming year was, we all know that, it will take several years between design and permitting and all that. But that we said, we can do both at the same time. And, if the regional comes forward first, great. If not, we're working towards that. The second priority is to, we've been working in earnest on what to do with the old gates. And we have several proposals from some affordable housing, potential affordable housing partners. And so that is also one of the key priorities, is to figure out that campus. Along with that is a conversation about, which started with the senior center development, was to address the traffic flow around the common. And there were already traffic studies done as part of the senior center work, but there was sort of a pin put in it at the time to say, let's see how it works out. So we've sort of elevated that as a priority at the same time. Not a heavy lift, but it's one of those things that we don't want 5 years to go by and say, oh, why don't we fix this? So that's on there. The third priority revolves around the concept of improving internal and external communication and transparency. And that's, I won't go into the weeds on it, but it's the overriding is there should never be a question about, what are the different department priorities for the coming year. And it should be something that, if somebody asks, we can point to a document and say, here's what, here's the plan. Things change, we know that, but we need to be better at making sure that that communication is open and transparent. And then the internal piece is, exactly that. So often, some department will do X and it'll impact Y, and we need to be better about coordinating that. So those are the overriding priorities that came out of the retreat. And we talked a lot about, some other stuff, but those were the big ones. I mentioned this is all of the predicating the development of the fiscal 24 budget. We are starting that process now. And we have a great team in place. As I think you all know, we have an amazing finance team, but the reality is that there are a lot of pressures on our operating budget that are going to make this year's more challenging than in the past. Electricity bills are out of control, have been, we've got, we've got to be competitive to keep our employees, that sort of stuff. So, we are entering some choppy water, which is no surprise to anyone that's working on any kind of budget right now. So that's happening. The other thing I want to mention to you guys is the sister cities have sent us a lengthy memo, and I'll forward that to you if you have not seen it yet, that we're having a lot of visitors in September. I'm sure Linda knows about this because I'm sure they're tapping her for housing. But in particular, on September 24th, there's going to be a delegation from Ireland in Scituate, and it's going to be 50 people. So I'm sure there'll be some opportunities there to really showcase the community. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that we have multiple projects around town that are impacting the roads. I'm sure you've all seen it. We've got Jericho Road and Oceanside, and we're trying to be smart about scheduling DPW projects right after they dig up the roads for doing gas lines and stuff, and they're behind schedule, which is just a nightmare. So the board's going to have them in to have a little chat, but Jericho Road and Oceanside in particular are dragging on longer than we had hoped. And I think I already told you guys 123 is going to get dug up from the Rotary towards Inley School. We pushed it off until September so that those businesses along 123 aren't, I mean, most of those are seasonal. So we're like, we'd post those off. But the ones that are right in town, I think you're going to see just some annoying delays on those construction projects. And I just wanted to let you guys know. Sue, are you going to talk about the kiosk siting at all? Is that in your list of things to talk about?
Exciting. The kiosk for the harbor?
Yeah.
No, cultural was actually, Michelle, they were talking about it the other day, but I know it's going across from where Marie is.
Yeah, it got approved at the last select board meeting.
Oh, okay.
And it will go where it was recommended, sort of across from Maria's on that little section.
Yeah.
So that's what I have. Any questions? I'm crossing off my list.
Don't cross us off too fast. I don't have any questions. Of course, I have a question about North Scituate, but I know you don't have the answer about timing and that kind of stuff. Like, how much of a priority is it?
Oh, it's a top priority. It has been, but we directed that it be baked into the upcoming budget is the design work, which is the next substantial step that needs to happen is, is the pipe under the railroad tracks usable? If not, how do we get it from point A to point B? What pump houses need to go? That kind of stuff. That's tangible progress on saying, okay, we're not going to wait for Cohasset and Hall, but that'd be great if it happens. But we'll continue those debate or those conversations. They are debates.
Yeah, debates.
We'll continue those conversations, but we're going to work on, we're going to, plan B has become plan A at this point until we make some progress.
One other thing, Karen, that I wanted to ask you about was the decision by the Attorney General regarding Cohasset waters.
Yes, thank you. I
Scituate waters.
should have mentioned that. It feels like old news, but it was only 10 days ago. So the Cohasset, I'll remind everyone, the Cohasset town meeting approved a navigational bylaw at their last town meeting that attempted to assert their authority to regulate waters within Cohasset Harbor, including waters that were in the territorial boundaries of the town of Scituate. The town of Scituate, of course, strenuously objected to that overreach, what we felt was overreach of authority. And as all bylaws have to be approved by the Attorney General, we sent our comments in, other people sent their comments in. On July 3rd, I believe it was, or July 1st. Anyway, beginning of July, the Attorney General came back with a 15-page opinion that essentially said that, well, no, that completely said that the town of Cohasset bylaw was invalid, that they could not pass or enforce such a bylaw. And so that's great news for everybody because, we don't want other towns to decide what we can do in our territory. So that's good. Meanwhile, 3 licenses have been issued. This was all, of course, a reaction to us exploring aquaculture in those waters. We moved ahead while this was being reviewed by the Attorney General and have issued 3 licenses for 3 1-acre lots, sort of out. If you know that area, sort of kind of tucked in behind where Glades is, that little piece in Deepwater oyster farms, and they're out there, they're marked, and they're starting to farm. So that's pretty exciting news that we'll have 3 local oyster farmers starting up their businesses.
Great. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Great. I think you're free to go.
Thank you, guys.
Have fun in
Sue,
Cleveland.
Thanks,
you know
Karen.
where to find me. I'll be in
Thanks.
Cleveland till Thursday, and then back on the beach on Friday.
Okay.
All right, good to see you all. Bye.
Thanks, bye. One thing I forgot to say when we called this meeting to order, we have a new line that will appear on all of the, besides the hybrid meeting, we'll do this for every meeting moving forward. But we also, we have a statement here that will also appear on the agenda each time, because we want to try to keep it as orderly as we can with topics that we're either prepared or not prepared to speak to. So on the agenda, if anyone hasn't seen it, it says EDC welcomes public participation. The chair will recognize public input for 10 minutes, allowing 3 minutes per person. Items not posted on the agenda cannot be deliberated per open meeting law. The commission will consider items to be posted on a future agenda. So if we do have an item in other business, then that we just are not prepared to discuss, we could put it onto the agenda for the next meeting. So that's really what we're trying to do. So next up is Paul. Do you want to talk about Sharp?
Hey, everybody, good to see you. Also want to join in welcoming our new members. Pier 44 Commission is proceeding with the phase 2 and phase 3 design work. This involves site work. Real important element is talking with the permitting agencies to see the extent of environmental environmental review we need, how we're their reaction to permits and things, and looking at grant funding opportunities, and just advancing design. So that'll go through the rest of the summer. So we're kind of we're not in an action phase. We're in continuing the permitting process, funding, design. So things are all going good.
So Paul, I happened to jump on, I think your last meeting, I was able to stay for a little while. And so just so everybody, just to remind everybody, there really is no building on there, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we had hoped, originally part of the concept was to have a meeting space, and but because of the zoning on the flooding, it's just not practical to have a building that's accessible to the public. We could have a building on piers that would be 10 feet off the ground, but you need access ramps that are like 120 feet.
Yeah.
To take over the whole site. So just not practical. So we're working around that, but we've had extensive public comment and input that's being reflected in the design concepts that are moving forward. As we've been to town meeting, we've had surveys, we've had I think we're about 70 meetings on the Pier 44 project. The Pier 44 meetings, the meetings with the consulting team, the meetings with various groups in the community. So, where our goal is, of course, to have a park that everyone can be proud of.
Great. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Paul. Susan?
Cold Parkway, so we had meetings were delayed like a month or two because we had been waiting for a drone study, finally got done. But the data is inconclusive really, and no one can really understand it.
Oh.
Needed a lot of data points to be sent to us. So we've decided to proceed with the RFP anyway and just put it out to bid, which I think Corey was going on vacation this week, so I think she sent it out before she left on Friday. So we'll give them 3 weeks to respond.
Yeah.
And then 3 weeks to a month, I think, and then we'll start the review process of the RFPs. And at that point, then we'll go to select somebody, an engineer, to go and, come up with a design and some solutions for the flooding issue. To remind everyone, the reason why they're doing this is because there's a big flooding issue in the Cole Parkway parking lot.
So, besides all the things that you just said, what do people actually envision?
I think what
Like a bigger
the
wall?
the basic thing is to have a bigger wall. But I think one of the problems is there's also groundwater that comes up.
Yes.
So there's an issue with some of those pipes
Yes,
and the way that they open and close.
Yeah.
And then water comes back in from the ocean, or it doesn't go out or whatever, and then it just comes up. So I think, that's gonna have to be all discussed with the engineer to figure out. So fine, you can build a wall, but what do you do about everything else?
right.
It'll probably have to be regraded. My other question is, what do we do about the connection with the Mill Wharf? Like, that's private property over there. They have
right.
flooding issues over there as well, so.
Right.
Most of the flooding really comes over behind the Coast Guard station in there. That's really where the big problems are, but, kind of in front of there too, there's a big grate that fills in the back of there, so. Anyway, they'll have to come up with some.
Yeah, I
design for
remember
that, but-
seeing it a couple of years ago, there was like an overlay of drains and things that come out into the harbor, and then, of course, then it comes back into the harbor. So, it's a big challenge.
It is a big challenge, so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's just at the beginning.
Yeah.
See what happens.
All right. Any questions for Susan besides me?
Because I probably can't answer them.
Pretty good job, though. Thank you. So Amy's not here, so Shelley, we'll go to you.
Hello,
Yeah, your first report.
All right. Well, good and bad for you guys. I have a lot to report since I haven't been here.
Okay, good.
But so in May of this year, I had been meeting with our local Greenbush owners actually since 2020. I got with Matt Elder back in February 2020 and said, how fun would it be to kind of celebrate all that is down in Greenbush and do attractions and have a one day where we could all get together and promote Greenbush. Well, we all know what happened in 2020, and it just took a lot of years to get it off the ground, but we formulated a committee this year of other business owners down in Greenbush, and we were able to just grassroots pull together an event we called Get to Greenbush, and that was May 8th of this year, and we had 15 partner businesses. So everybody, the way we structured it was everybody hosted an open house on the same day. And so anybody could create attractions that made sense for their audience. And everybody really promoted it to their audience and then said, also walk the block, visit the neighborhood, see what we all have going on. And personally, I think it was great success. I'm very biased.
Day.
What's that? It was a beautiful day. We were so lucky. It was the first gorgeous day of the year. Kind of walk around and it was warm and lots of kids attractions. Cardigan had an incredible event for kids and families, and I'm told had their big Cinco de Mayo party that year or that day. So we had a lot going on. It was a terrific attendance. I see, and there were a number, at least 5 to 10 businesses that really wanted to participate, but they had conflicts that day.
Mhm.
So I could see, especially with the growth that I'll get to of Greenbush neighborhood right now, there'll be some more commercial businesses setting up that by next year could even amplify this event. Great. So we had a post-event meeting and everybody is ready to start planning for next year as well. We're targeting the same day, though we're flexible because I know remind me, Ship Shape, thank you.
But
We ended up on the same day this year.
Yeah, but maybe we just
I liked
pile
it.
on.
I think it would be fun to collaborate
I
and
do
even join more forces. I
Yeah,
could
beautification would love it.
They're great,
Yeah,
and we had some great feedback from a number of people. We had free parking at MBTA. The MBTA team was really flexible and they were fine to offer that. So I think we could even have, tents set up and some things happening at the train station, because that was one thing that, attendees came to the train station and then said, okay, now what? Where do I go?
Right.
So we could, really formulate something a little grander next year. But yeah, so far so great. And then, let's see, a few other things. So I don't know if anyone has seen the new development across the street from the train station is called Sky Sail.
Yeah.
And they have, it looks like 78 rental apartments, 160 parking spaces, and roughly 9,000 feet of commercial real estate space. They're currently leasing the first floor retail, second floor retail, a restaurant, and then a standalone retail building.
Wow.
So that was just posted recently that those are open for
That's
leasing.
gonna be a lot more people in Big
Wow.
Bush.
I know, 78 rental apartments.
Yeah.
And then, as you probably have seen, Rockland Trust is opening a new branch.
We are. Sure.
I did not know that.
And let's see,
Awesome.
Untold is opening, I guess, third location, though they have some other smaller locations,
Yeah.
so it could be fifth, who knows?
Yeah.
But officially, the third location in Plymouth, as many of you have probably seen, and it'll be their largest.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
And this is old news, but I guess I'll report, because I don't know when the last time Matt mentioned it, but Widows Walk, their clubhouse was renovated.
Yeah.
And is open, as well as the new restaurant there called Drift Inn,
Yeah.
and owned by the same owner of Hibernia Tavern. The Sanctuary at Herringbrook is also opened. It looks like they have about 60 apartment units there. And then lastly, it's, who knows how qualified their marketing is, but Best of the South Shore by South Shore Home Life and Style. We have 7 winners for their annual award winners in Greenbush, which I thought was kind of fun.
Really?
Yeah,
Great.
7 businesses, and a couple of those won in 2 categories, so if we really wanna boost our numbers, we can go up to like 8, 10. And then 3 runner-ups.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
great.
so, I have a list here, I can mention it if you guys are curious as to the
course
businesses.
we are.
Sure. Gunther Tooties, who won for Best Bagels, Untold Brewing for Best Local Brewery, Lucky Fin Cafe, Best Local Coffee, Studio 143, Best Yoga Studio, and Best Remote, I think that's yoga, just wrote Best Remote. Little Steps Learning Center, Best Childcare, Emily School, Best Private Elementary School, and Birch Barn Designs, Best Artisan Gifts.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And then in the runner-up category, Afterglow Fine Art Gallery, which is Cal Mahoney.
Oh, yeah.
Photography studio. He has historically won, but he's runner-up this year. And then Crossroads Sandwiches.
Oh,
Yeah, right at Kennedy's.
okay.
He used to be on Front Street, and he moved
Okay.
over to Kennedy's. Crossroads Sandwiches, they're new right next
Yeah.
to Lucky Fin.
Yeah.
Best lunch spot and best sandwich spot runner-up. And then Kennedy's runner-up for best garden center.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
What area encompassed?
So I included from Untold up to Kennedy's. Kennedy's is a bit of a stretch, but
But there isn't anything else they fall into.
Right.
yeah, I kind of think so. And if we wanted to
I'd
go
like to
one
have
more.
them in my district.
Yeah, and actually one more step further, I felt like this might have been too far to stretch, but Rotary, I forget their category, but they
But it
also
is
won.
Marshfield.
I couldn't remember if they were
Yeah.
Marshfield or
Yes, it
Scituate.
is Marshfield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a park in Scituate.
Yeah. Best parking, best parking.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, best parking for
It's like, come
Rotary.
on.
Yes.
Yeah, how big is, like, for the South Shore Best, is it all of the, like, what towns are involved, I guess?
I think they would go from, I mean, I'm just making guesses here, but like Braintree, Carver, down to the Cape. Maybe, I don't know if they would go as far as down
Maybe
on
to the
Cape,
bridge.
but to the bridge, I would
Okay.
think so.
Hey, we'll take it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
news.
So, that's my update this time.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Are there any businesses slated to go into the new building yet?
I
Across
have-
the MBTA?
I have not seen, any announcements on who it is. Though I would think so, because based on their announcement that there's up to 9,000 square feet of commercial retail space available, or commercial retail space, being built, available for lease is, I don't know math, but it looks like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 roughly, is what's available. So call it maybe one or two have been.
Yeah, but
Leased
they
out.
haven't said who's moving in yet.
I'll be a better sleuth next time. I don't have the answer, but I can find out.
Did you say a first and second floor restaurant, or did you say it would be the same tenant?
It says, it looks like it's a different tenant because it says first floor retail and then second floor retail / restaurant. So maybe it could be either or
Oh,
both.
it actually might have a view, a little bit
Yeah,
of a
of
view,
the
like,
marsh,
like,
sure.
Yeah, it's pretty, I
like
would
the
say
golf,
so.
like the golf course.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
true,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And then a
up
standalone
high.
retail building.
Mhm.
And I had talked with, I believe Stephanie at Duval Dance. We were talking about the Get to Greenbush event, and then we were talking about how next year it could be so grand with everything going in. And she had inquired about moving in or leasing space, moving her business over there,
Oh.
because parking is so tight in that parking lot where she's at.
Yeah.
And anecdotally, she said, they're being very picky about who the tenants are gonna be
really.
in terms of businesses, so. Maybe she wasn't.
Well, they should have one that
Yeah.
actually lasts, which they've been around a million years, so.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna last.
Right, yeah, that's true, that's true, they have been here forever.
Right.
Well, thank you very much, great report, we'll
All right,
expect
yeah.
big reports, that will take time.
As long as we meet every 5 months.
No, no.
I'll do my best.
Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Linda, do you have anything from advisory?
No, not from advisory, but I know you were just reading Greenbush, but just for EDC's own knowledge, there was a bunch of other Scituate businesses that made that South Shore list.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I know you were reading Greenbush, that was great, and that's really awesome. But there are other businesses in the rest of the town that, made it as well. So it's kind of it's a fun thing. In years past, I really pushed to win and stuff, and then I kind of lost interest a little bit. But I know if you really, I don't know how they pick the people, but they're all good, and it's great publicity, and it's really, it would be something to maybe do a little marketing with, like, hey, we had 25 best of the South Shores or something like that down the road. And then I apologize for missing last meeting. I battled a kidney stone for 30 days, so I strongly recommend to everyone to avoid at all costs getting a kidney stone.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you very much. That's on the record.
Yeah. Oh, great, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So I know that we have Ed here, who I have encouraged to come and talk to us about, he runs well, why don't you tell us?
Well, I've been running the Scituate St. Patrick's Day Parade since 1999.
Wow.
And the only reason I'm still doing it is because nobody will do it for me.
We get that.
So I often tell people that the parade will end when I die, I'll move out of town. But anyway, Sue we had met at another event, and she mentioned to me that about our expenses and stuff for the parade. And she asked if I had ever approached you guys for money, into which I said, no, I didn't have any idea that that was a possibility. So she invited me here tonight to go over, I guess, some of our expenses, to which she said that there's a possibility that maybe you guys could help out with some of our expenses for the parade, which would go
Like
a
police
long,
and fire would qualify.
a long way. This year, our expenses were right around $60,000.
Isn't that incredible?
So, and we basically have to raise every penny of it because we get nothing from the town. So the parade committee is a 503C, 501C charity,
Yeah.
and which we established about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. I keep forgetting because of the COVID years, it's like they didn't exist. But again, we have a lot of expenses. Just for instance, we pay just the police department over almost $12,000 a year.
That sounds familiar,
One day
doesn't it?
details.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure there are like Heritage Days.
Mhm.
I have no idea what they pay for 2 days worth.
It's.
I think it's around the same, wasn't it like 15?
Yeah, I think it was about 18 last year.
Yeah.
So we have to pay the fire department for their details, and then we gotta pay the DPW for
Yeah.
cleanup details, and, I mean, and that's just one of the expenses. There are, I have a sheet here if you'd like to.
Oh, sure.
I only have 4 sheets with me, so
Susan can share?
You can share.
Okay.
there you go. So, these, the total is not on here because I rushed home from work to get here and I didn't have a chance to get the page that had, the didn't notice it didn't have the totals on it. But thankfully, we did very well this year with corporate sponsors.
Yeah.
We had lots of new corporate sponsors this year, which was great. My goal is to someday be able to have enough corporate sponsors and funding elsewhere that we don't have to do the nitpicky little fundraising events that we have to, you know, there's a lot of work but doesn't make a lot of money type things.
Right.
So, but these here are just the expenses, these are not who the corporate sponsors are and stuff like that.
Paul and Barry, I will send this to you guys by email.
So that's just for this past year, I have the same list.
Is it okay if we keep it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
So that just gives you an idea, if there's anything on there that you guys
Yeah,
can help us
so-
with.
We have a new application coming out for funding.
Mhm.
And we'll send it off to you as soon as we have the final. We're still kind of waiting.
All right.
And we ask that it be submitted at least 60 days prior to the
Okay.
event. And I wanted you to come tonight so that the committee, at least the commission, would have some sense of,
Mhm.
you know, what you do, which we know what you do. But maybe when you apply, then you come back and we can
Okay.
actually officially have a conversation.
Sure.
It'll be on the agenda and everything.
All right.
And
Sounds
this
good.
list of expenses is perfect, like, for us, because that's exactly what the application is geared towards, is kind of
Okay.
like figuring out exactly what your operating budget is and seeing how EDC can, you know,
Right,
contribute, because as Sue was mentioning, there's only certain categories
sure.
of
She
things
said
that we can
Sure.
fund.
Yeah.
So I'm even just doing a quick glance, I'm sure there might be.
I highlighted the big one,
Yeah,
I'm actually
the
still
police and
waiting
fire.
I'm still waiting for 2 bills to come in, one from the town for the DPW, which I don't know why, they sometimes send it to the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, well, I keep my mouth shut.
Linda, have you got any of our bills?
She's not with the chamber.
Oh, you're not with the chamber anymore, okay.
No.
But she knows she used to get them.
Yeah.
She'd call me up and say, Ed, the town sent me the bill for you.
Well, and because sometimes they came directly to the inn, so that's
Yeah,
when I used to
right.
get them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Because I'm thinking there's usually like signage that you put out every year, right? So is that also an additional expense?
yeah, well, it's one of my corporate sponsors, that's on the parade committee, he
Oh, okay.
actually pays to do that, out of his own money, to put the sign up that we advertise the parade on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just trying to think of like.
so there are, like I say, some expenses that aren't even on here because they're taking, I never even thought to put them on, you know, just like, okay, take care of it, fine.
Yeah, right, well, that's good, because then this kind of thing and what comes to mind when people start asking questions, then that'll help you.
You know, it's interesting too, you know, because I've been doing this for such a long time, I'll run into people, general public, and they'll say, oh, the parade was great. And the guy says, yeah, it's very expensive. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I says, well, we have to pay all the entertainment. You do? They don't do it for free?
No.
Uh,
never have, right?
no,
No.
never
No.
do, never have. I have to negotiate with each group that marches, that gets paid, try to get them down to the nitty gritty, you know?
Right.
And sometimes it's difficult because we're dealing against, Abington the same day,
Oh.
South Boston the same day,
Oh,
and Worcester the same day. So there's only so much entertainment to go around. And some of them have a pick, okay, I'm just gonna go with your town pays the most, you know?
right.
So, and what I try to do is, the entertainment, the parade size based on entertainment is based on what I anticipate we're gonna be able to raise for money.
Yeah.
You know, so we get more money, we can have better, maybe better bands or different types of entertainment, whatever.
Now, will, say, high school or school entertainment groups march for free?
I've even offered to pay the high school band, and the band director says, oh no, the kids can't march. But then again, I saw them in the Memorial Day parade, and I said, they don't have to march, they only have to walk and play their instruments. But,
I just was wondering, yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'd love to have them, they've been invited, but
it's always fun to see kids.
And how about if we get the application over to you if you're interested, and then you can let me know, maybe you can come to the September meeting.
okay,
That sound all right?
sounds great,
Timing?
Yep.
Okay,
I'll make it happen,
okay, and then we can talk more about it, it'll be on the agenda,
okay,
and we'll be legit.
sounds great,
Yeah.
all right.
Start tracking.
Yeah, you start
Do
tracking.
we have the budget yet? Did we get our number?
No,
No, okay, so that's Karen's work on.
And again, if you can't, it's not the end of the world, I'll just continue doing what I do, you know, but if you happen to have some.
Well, a lot of
Yes,
people
you can
come
spare.
to Situate for that, because
That's
I know
right.
people from other towns that actually plan to come.
Yeah.
Oh, many
Yes.
people come from out of town. I've had people call me from the North Shore. They wanna go by South Boston, they don't wanna go there.
Yeah,
It's
right.
too crazy,
It's
too
crazy,
rowdy, it's not a kid's,
Yeah,
this is a family-oriented parade,
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so.
well, okay, well, thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for having me, I really appreciate it. Nice to meet you all.
Nice
and,
meeting you too.
See you in September.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
I don't see Candy on here.
You don't see who?
Oh, Candy, I know,
Big
that's,
people throw
It's not a big
that's a big
That's
expense.
right.
The floats.
Corporate sponsors who put an entry in the parade, they're responsible for, if they wanna pass stuff out, it's up to them. I'll tell them, just remember, there's probably 20,000 people here. And I'll use Ben Cutler at XR Sandwiches as an example. I ran into him in the parking lot at Shaw's, a little bit before the parade, and I said, hey, if he was in his truck, I said, are you interested in getting involved in being a sponsor of the parade? Oh my God, he says, my wife and I were just talking about this yesterday. He says, yeah, tell me what I gotta do. So I said, all right, well, here's an application, and I happened to have to go down to the shop to get a sandwich that day, so I went down and talked to him, and he says, all right, so can I pass stuff out at the parade? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, well, I think I'm gonna do sandwiches. And I said, Ben, have you ever seen the parade? He goes, no. I said, do you know how many people in the parade? No. I says, probably close to 20,000. He goes, okay, I'll try to find something else. But I thought that was kind of funny, so. And he did, he passed out little miniature sauces, different flavored sauces that like barbecue sauce and stuff like that,
Oh,
that
that's
uses
awesome.
for the sandwiches, yeah. So I don't know how many he passed out. I don't know how many things you guys passed
Oh,
out.
they were, one of our employees was giving fistfuls to children, and I looked at him and said, please, hold on to that candy. And sure enough, we turned the corner on Front Street, and the candy was gone, and all of these sad children were standing there.
I try to tell people, don't, because there's a big crowd at the common.
Yeah.
Don't be wasting all your candy on there, because the poor people in the town aren't gonna get any.
Don't tell the
They're
kids
gonna run
I'm
out.
stashing candy right now for next year.
Thanks very much.
They
All
don't
right,
care.
guys, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody have anything else?
Hey, Sue,
Yeah.
Paul here.
Yep.
I just wanted to comment on Karen Canfield's report about sewer for North Scituate. And
Yes.
I just want to mention, Karen's, Canfield's just been a champion for pursuing sewer for Scituate and for many years. And I'm really glad to see, the regional plan is great. I wish that Cohasset would get on board. It's good for everybody. It's good government. But I'm very glad that Scituate is making the Scituate plan a priority, and we need to move this forward. It's been something this commission has been interested in for many years. It's something we need to do. It's good for the environment. It's funny that some of the other communities don't talk about the environment. We want the Gulf to be clean and Cohasset Harbor to be clean. So this is an incredibly important project, as well as, of course, from an economic development standpoint, that if we have sewer in Scituate Village, North Scituate, we'll have the property owners will have an incentive to invest in their properties, and we have the rezoning that I think is spectacular that was approved a few years ago. This commission worked on. So
People in North Situate will go to Cohasset
Yeah.
to eat.
yes.
Right.
So anyways, I really applaud the select board and
Mhm.
Karen and Grove for moving this initiative forward. We have to find the solution, and as she said, if Scituate, should find its own solution, and if others in the region want to cooperate and bring something forward that makes sense, great. But we've been trying to work with them for many years and without success, apparently. So I just wanted to comment, really appreciate Karen's work and the select board, and I'm glad to see this initiative.
Great, thank you, Paul. That is important to acknowledge the work she's done. We all know, we've been talking about this for at least 5 years, just this group. But yeah, thank you. So if there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Does someone have something else?
No, I'm good.
So moved,
So move, second.
all those in favor?
Aye.